Okay, next, let's proceed with the Kirchhoff's principle. So, ito naman is hindi na related doon sa ibang mga machines na napag-usapan natin a while ago, no? So, this one is actually writings naman po ito. So, in 1883, so merong pangalan yung journal, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Journal des Sciences Militares, nag-publish daw po ng article held by of course August Kirchhoff. So si August Kirchhoff po is again German din po ito, no? Based on the name itself. Ang title ng article na pinpublish niya ay La Cryptographie Militaire. Now sa article na yon, nag-outline siya ng 6 na principles na kung saan yung cryptographic system daw po ay pwedeng magbasihan. So, yung article na yan, of course, it discusses about paanong ginagamit yung mga cryptography na yan, ano yung kanyang essence, no? And possibly, what would be the impact in using a cryptographic device or a cryptographic machine, no, to disclose to provide security doon sa information. So una dyan, sabi niya, the system must be substantial, if not mathematically, kailangan daw po indecipherable. So hindi pwedeng malaman ng kung sino-sino, diba? Kumbaga yung mga trained people, sila lang po daw ang pwedeng mag-decipher ng mga message na yan or mga information na yan. And the system must not require secrecy and can be stolen by the enemy without causing trouble. Ito, medyo napapasel ako dito, diba? So if we talk about information, and of course information yan, not everybody should see it, dapat secure dyan, diba? Pero binabanggit niya rito, the system must not require secrecy. So hindi daw dapat sikreto. And dapat daw pwede ring manakaw ng kalaban without causing trouble. Ano yun, walang kahirap-hirap na makukuha kagad ng kalaban yung ano, diba, yung information. I think ang pinipinpoint ni Kirchhoff dyan is the other way around, diba? So dapat daw yung information must be secret, and it should not be in any means necessary be stolen by an enemy. If in case the enemy steal the information, dapat mahihirapan yung enemy to get the information. Parang yun ang gusto niyang iparating dyan. Kumbaga parang inilalabas lang niya yung possible weak side, no, ng isang cryptography. And then it must be easy to communicate and remember the keys without requiring written notes. So again, this is another way around. And it must be easy to change or modify the keys with different participants, diba? Next, the system ought to be compatible with telegraph communication. So ganoon naman talaga yan eh. Pagka tin-transmit ang message is the information. Telegram is just one of those avenues na pwedeng gamitin to transmit, no, the information, kasi ang telegraph po part yan ng communication way nung araw. Ngayon ang telegraph po is ano na lang, application na lang, di ba? Na it's like a messenger application na ginagamit natin in our devices, no? The system must be portable and its use must not require more than one person. So if you're trying to understand what Kirchhoff is or was trying to imply, dapat ang mindset mo is baliktad. Kasi if you're going to read, no, all the principles na sinulat niya, it's like revealing the information already. But you know, these people, iba mag-isip yung mga yan. So it's the other way around, no? Next, we have the modern cryptography. So, yung mga nabanggit natin kanina ng mga cryptographic machines and cryptographic ways, no? Of course, outdated na po yung mga yan. Kasi, especially ngayong mga panahon na ito, na yung computers po can be easily accessed anytime as long as you have the resources to get a computer, madali na po. And we understand na yung computer can perform multiple tasks in a matter of seconds. So, yung pag-decipher, no, ng mga encrypted message, madali na lang po yan, no, para sa mga computer na ginagamit natin, di ba? And of course, there was a person, no, who restated na yung mga, like, let's say for example, yung ways of deciphering a cryptography, and of course, yung pag-understand ng mga cryptographic algorithms, meron pong isang tao na nagbigay ng statement regarding that. And the name of that person was Claude Shannon, diba? And he referred to it as the enemy knows the system. And meron siyang mga versions ng kanyang concept na nagsasabi na ang cryptographic algorithms ay kailangan daw po matigas, or it should be solid enough that even though someone may know every bit of the system except the key itself, he or she should still not be able to break the encryption. So dapat daw, ganun daw po ka-solid yung cryptographic algorithms. Kayang i-perform yan ng mga computers ngayon. And that's the reason why na-evolve at na-develop yung mga security system ng atin pong mga ginagamit na mga devices, kagaya ng inyong portable device, such as your mobile phone. Diba? Imagine a phone having multiple factor authentication. So, part po yun ng cryptographic algorithms. Okay? Now, this idea represents the opposite approach to security through obscurity. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, if in case there will be any attempts to decipher and break down the code just to get the information, the security should be strong enough to block any attempts, no, that might compromise the information. So, isa yon sa mga underlying principles ng kasalukuyang cryptographic system. So, ang tawag nila doon, modern cryptographic tools. Diba? Sa maraming ways, maraming paraan. And I think hindi na natin kailangang elaborate yan because nagkaroon tayo ng discussion about multi-factor authentication. So, yung mga yon, no, yung mga authentication factors na yon, dinevelop yun, of course, using cryptographic algorithms. Diba? Next, we go to symmetric cryptography. So, also known as private key cryptography. So, pag sinabing private key, isa lang po na person ang may hawak-hawak po nito. Diba? Because it utilizes a single key para sa pag-i-encrypt, pagpo-provide ng security, and para sa pagtatanggal or pag-understand ng security, decryption of the ciphertext. And yung susi daw po must be shared between the sender and the receiver. Ganun kasi nung araw. Diba? Imagine a situation wherein yung sender, alam niyo yung mga postal services, diba sa atin meron tayong postal office. Sa ibang bansa kasi class ganito, pag nag-avail ka ng postal services or postal service, yung mismong postal office na yan, bibigyan ka nila ng parang susi sa isang locker. Hindi naman locker room, pero locker po. Kumbaga doon sa postal office nila, siguro somewhere in that office, sa labas, possibly, may mga locker po doon. Tapos bibigyan ka ng isang susi para magamit mo yung locker. Ganun ang ginagawa dati. So si sender, maglalagay siya ng message dun sa locker, ilalak niya yon, tapos bibigyan niya ng message yung receiver na meron akong iniwang message doon sa locker. And para makuha mo yung message doon sa locker, yung susi iniwan ko sa ganitong lugar. So basically ganun ang nangyayari. But dalawa ang gumagamit ng susi, pero hindi pa pwedeng gamitin yung susi ng dalawang tao at the same time. Kaya single key lang po siya. Isa lang po ang pwedeng gumamit. Kahit sabihin natin na dalawa sila, tatlo pa sila, pero isang tao lang po ang gagamit at that given time. Okay? Ang process nila doon, ang tawag nila doon is key exchange. Diba? Which constitutes an entire subtopic of cryptography. So, kumbaga parang merong ibang discussion about cryptography because of that process, yung key exchange. Now, the symmetric key cryptography is a reference to the use of a single key. Ayun na nga po ang binabanggit tong explanation kanina. Regardless, kahit sino pa or ilan pang tao ang nakakaalam that there is an existing key to open any door, possibly, or locker, para makuha yung information or yung data, but isang tao lang po ang pwedeng gumamit niyan. Did you get the idea? Ha? Nakuha po ba yung idea doon? Hello? Okay. Next. One of the chief weaknesses, so maraming weaknesses to, of symmetric key cryptography lies in the use of one key. Yeah, I think so. The way I explained it to you kanina, siguro nare-realize niyo na, sir, mahina ang security niyan. Yes. Kaya nga isa yan sa mga chief weaknesses. Kasi isa lang po yung susi eh. Now the question is, what happened pag nawala yung susi? Ayun, malaking problema yun. At saka ito pa, pag yung susi daw po ay na-expose outside of the people who has an access to the key, malaking problema rin po yan. Diba? Kasi it is possible for an attacker who has managed to intercept it to decrypt the message, o kaya naman, mas worse pa, to decrypt the message. O kaya naman, palitan yung message. Tapos, palitan din yung security. Yan lalagyan niya ng panibagong encryption. Diba? Tapos, yung original receiver, kukunin niya na ngayon yung message. Iba na yung information na nandoon sa message. So, marami siyang butas, ika nga. Okay? Next, we have the block versus stream ciphers. Now, si symmetric key cryptography, meron po siyang dalawang klase ng cipher. Meron siyang block at saka stream cipher. Unahin muna natin yung block cipher. It takes a predetermined number of bits. So, meron lang po itong associated number of bits. And those bits are known as block. Sa isang plain text message po, na doon naka-indicate yung mga block na yon. So, basically, kada block, meron siyang encryption. And yung blocks daw po are usually composes of 64 bits. No? Pero pwede rin siyang mas malaki or mas maliit depending on the particular algorithm na ginagamit. And of course, yung mga ibang model ng cryptographic device na kung saan yung algorithm ay kayang i-operate or kayang gawin. I think ang binabanggit dito na good example is yung Enigma machine. Diba? Kasi kung mapapansin niyo yung Caesar cipher, yung Thomas Jefferson disk, medyo malawak yung kanyang limitation. Diba? Now, yung stream cipher naman encrypts each bit in the plain text message, 1 bit at a time. So in this case, kay stream cipher, you'll be seeing a lot of words na somehow yung words are not relevant to one another because there is a message hidden, no, underneath those words. So basically, ang ginagawa niyan is to lituhin, no, yung mga makakapag-intercept ng message. Okay? And it is also possible for a block cipher to act as a stream cipher. So pwedeng i-consider yung block cipher as also a stream cipher, no? Paano ginagawa yon? Just set a block size of 1 bit. So basically ganun lang yon, diba? And then a large majority of the encryption algorithms in use at present are block ciphers. So yun ang ginagamit daw ngayon, no? Possible naman din siguro yon. Kasi ang ano natin ngayon, ang encryption method natin ngayon, it comes in various forms, di ba? Talk about multi-factor authentication. So pwede siyang gamitin o gawing basis para mag-develop ng multi-factor authentication. Yung block cipher na po na yan. And then next, we have the symmetric key algorithms. Some of the cryptographic algorithms that are more recognizable to the general public are symmetric key algorithms, diba? And several of these such as DES, 3DES, and AES. Ito, medyo siguro familiar kayo with this, diba? Kasi naka-label yan sa ibang mga device eh. No? Kung hindi man, nasa manual ng device nyo yan. Try ninyong, for example, bumili kayo ng bagong cellphone, and then try ninyong basahin somewhere in the manual, makikita nyo yung mga ano na yan, algorithm na yan, di ba? Ang lagi naman dyan, recognizable to the general public. So definitely meron po kayong makikita ganyan. Okay? And yeah, ano ka man nakalagay dito? So regular use by the US government and others as standard algorithms for protecting highly sensitive data. Ayun. Si DES, nag-emerge siya in 1976 sa US. And yun na yung ginagamit ever since, no? By a variety of parties globally. So hindi lang po sa US na sumikat yung DES, but also to the rest of the world. Ang DES is a block cipher. Kasi napaka-effective talaga ng block cipher. And it was based on symmetric key cryptography and uses a 56-bit key. Although si DES was considered to be very secure for some time, hindi na po yan siya kino-considered as a secured cryptographic algorithm ngayon. Siyempre, nag-i-evolve, diba? Although symmetric key cryptography makes use of only one key, asymmetric cryptography, however, also known as public key cryptography, yung kanina private key, ngayon public key. Dalawang susi na po ang ino-offer dito. Isang public key at saka isang private key. Now, the public key ay ginagamit para i-secure yung data na sinesend from the sender to the receiver, tapos sinishare po sa iba. So meron tong ganong option. And then we see public keys included in email signatures. Kaya totoo yan. Diba yung mga kumpanya na merong parang, hindi naman sa letterhead, pero somehow, somewhere in the email, makikita mo rin yung signature. Parang ito yung parang brand ng ano, no? Or this is the brand ng isang company. I'm not referring to the product, but the company brand, no? So, yun yung tatawag lang email signatures. Posted on servers that exist specifically to host public keys, and it is being posted on web pages. So, possible. Kumbaga para siyang watermark. Ayun. Displayed in several other ways. Private keys are used to decrypt data that arrives at the receiving end and are very carefully guarded by the receiver. Dapat lang. Kasi data yan eh. And of course, now we understand that data is not for everybody's eyes. It belongs to a particular receiver. Then we have the RSA algorithm, named for its creators Ron Rivest, Adi Shamir, and Leonard Edelman. Isang klase ng asymmetric algorithm na ginagamit all over the world, including in the SSL protocol or the secure sockets layer. Ginagamit to secure many common transactions kagaya ng web and email traffic. Yung SSL protocol na yan, di ba? So basically, ang isang web traffic is hindi makapag-initiate ng communication yan without undergoing SSL protocol. May kasama lagi yan, di ba? Parang yung sa ano yan parang sa may URL address na yung kumapansin mo, for example, www.facebook.com/ yon, yung mga ganon, yung extension name niya, so SSL po yon, no? Extension name aside from the name of the page itself. Okay? And si RSA was created in 1977. DES was created in 1976. Ano ba yun? Ayan o. 1976. Then a year after that, ang bilis ng development, ano? Isang taon lang, tapos meron na kagad development, no? And it's still one of the most widely used algorithms in the world to this day. So until now, ngayon daw, ginagamit pa rin po yan. Next, we have the ECC, or the elliptic curve cryptography. Isang klase ng cryptographic algorithms, although it is sometimes referred to as though it were an algorithm in and of itself. Named for the type of mathematical problem on which its cryptographic functions are based. Yung ECC, familiar din tayo dito, di ba? Pag bumili kayo halimbawa ng computer o ng laptop, tingnan nyo yung ilalim. Meron pong ECC sticker yan or meron pong ECC label po yan. Meaning, the device that you purchase is equipped with security. Diba? Totoo naman yan eh. May mga laptop na na pwedeng i-scan yung iris scan mo, diba? Of course, pati na rin yung mga software na ginagamit mo, like for example, operating system. May security din yan, diba? And then we have the hash function, represents a third cryptography type alongside symmetric and asymmetric cryptography. So dalawa na po ang nag-partner, symmetric and asymmetric cryptography. What we might call keyless cryptography. So ibig sabihin, hindi na natin kailangan ng susi rito kasi we understand now that having keys for our cryptography might somehow pose an immediate worse situation. So ito ngayon, keyless na. Hash functions also referred to as a message digest. Do not use a key but instead create a largely unique and fixed length hash value, commonly referred to as a hash, based on the original message, something along the same line as a fingerprint. Hashing is like diba? Yung parang calling out other possible users, no? Para somehow, if you want to share the data, and if you want others to see the data, so i-hash mo yung information na yan, so that if other users will search for it, makikita kagad nila yung message na gusto mong i-share sa kanila, di ba? And hashes cannot be used to discover the contents of the original message or any of its other characteristics, pero pwede siyang gamitin to determine whether the message has changed. In this way, hashes provide confidentiality but not integrity. So, may relation pa rin, no? Ang CIA. Next, we have the digital signatures. Another use to which we can put asymmetric algorithms and their associated public and private keys. Digital signatures allows us to sign a message to enable the detection of changes to the message contents, to ensure that the message was legitimately sent by the expected party, and to prevent the sender from denying that he or she sent the message, di ba? So, possible din po ito. And ngayon, of course, common na po ang digital signatures, also known as e-signature, na usually ginagamit namin yan sa capstone. Di ba? Usually nangyayari yan sa capstone 2 class eh. Capstone 2 kasi, tad-tad ng suspension ang mga klase. Eh minsan may mga kailangang documents na pasaynan pero wala namang pasok, o kaya naman kagaya ng sitwasyon natin, naka-online, no? Eh kailangan nang ipasa yung documents. So ina-accept namin or pumapayag kami na pirmahan yung document ng mga grupo using an e-signature. But of course with the consent of Ma'am Mary Rose Martinez. Kasi to be honest, ako hindi rin ako pumipirma kagad ng e-signature. So pagka halimbawa po yung isang grupo, let's say magme-message sa akin yan asking for my e-signature, hindi ko naman sila dinidisregard, pero sinasabi ko sa kanila kagad na teka muna, magpapaalam muna ako kay Ma'am Mary, no? Pagka ganun po ang naging excuse ko, ibig sabihin hindi ako aware na pwede na pala yung e-signature. So ang ginagawa ko to set things straight, no? Kinakausap ko muna si Ma'am Mary, asking her if allowed na ba yung e-signature para dun sa, let's say, approval sheet ninyo, no? O kaya yung revisions form ninyo. Pag sinabi ni Ma'am Mary na okay, sige, na-download ko yung yung form na sinend ng grupo, and then nilalagyan natin ng e-signature. Pero sa Sir John ninyo, talagang hindi pumapayag yan ng e-signature. Ayaw niya ng e-signature. Kasi class, medyo delikado yung e-signature eh. Diba? I hope you understand na signature yan eh. Mamaya gamitin yan sa ibang hindi magandang bagay. Did you get the idea? Class? Nakuha niyo ba yung idea doon? Diba? Maski kayo eh. For example, other people will ask for your e-signature. Ibibigay niyo ba? Hindi. Hindi niyo ibibigay yan kasi alam niyo yung risk associated with that kind of notion. Mamaya gamitin niya na may pinirmahan pa lang isang agreement yung yung isang tao ginamit yung e-signature ninyo. Tapos yung agreement na yan somehow kailangan mong bayad ng ganto, ganyan. O kaya may gagawin ka. Pag hindi mo ginawa, possible magkaroon ka ng kaso. Kaya napakadelikado. Kaya ako every time na merong naghihingi ng e-signature ko, nagsasabi muna ako kay Ma'am Mary Rose. Ngayon, pag sinabi ni Ma'am Mary Rose na okay, sige, saka ako pipirma, di ba? At least, kung sakali na magkaroon ng problema, nandun yung message, ito yung aking evidence na si Ma'am Mary Rose ay pumayag na pumirma kami using an e-signature. Diba? Mahirap kasi na lang eh. Na ikaw lang, pati yung, hindi naman sa pero I'm just, of course, trying to protect myself. Hindi natin alam. Hindi naman sa pinag-iinalaan kayo. Pero to be honest, magkakaibang tao tayo. Diba? Hindi ko kayo kilala masyado. Kaya ingat-ingat lang. This is not because I am trying to deny my e-signature para sa inyong documents, but I just wanted to set things straight na wala tayong magiging problema. Okay? Certificate. Of course, digital certificate yan. No? It comes in any form, especially ngayon. Yung nagkaroon ng pandemic, no? Until now, marami pa rin pong nag-i-issue ng digital certificates. Kasi kung a-attend kayo ng mga webinars, na meron pong certificate yan, ang mag-receive nyo, digital certificate. Pag sinabing digital certificate yan na hindi po printed. It is being sent to you, no, through a digital means. So, meron din tayong isang klase ng ng form. But in this case, digital certificates po ang binibigay. And these are created to link a public key to a particular individual, and kadalasan ginagamit as a form of electronic identification for that particular person. So, pagkakakilanlan, no? May mga kumpanya kasi na ganyan na for example, um, ipapadala yung mga employee into let's say a training or a seminar. So yung organizing party, yung nag-organize ng seminar, ng training, hihingi yan ng ng profile ng mga empleyado. So what's the best way to do that is to send this organizing party a digital certificates containing the details, no? And of course profile ng mga empleyado ang ipapadala nila. So kapakaganda, no? And it is typically formed by taking the public key and identifying information kagaya ng name and address and having them signed by a certificate authority or the CA. CA is a trusted entity that handles digital certificates. So possible na ang may possession ng digital certificates ng inyong kumpanya would be the HR. Sila naman lagi yan. Okay? And then, ito naman is somehow ibang topic po ito, no? So, protecting data at rest. So, ito raw po yung area, in which security is often laging nagkukulang and is particularly bad area in which we choose not to emphasize security. Siguro, from the words itself, it would tell us na pangit ang pag-organize natin ng security ng ating pong data. Nasa bad area daw po siya. So if we talk about securing the data in a company, wala na pong ibang area yan kundi server. Kaya ang server po talaga, no, especially pag yung kumpanya ninyo medyo malaki-laki yan, ang mga server meron siyang dedicated server room. Pero merong mga kumpanya na yung server computer nandiyan lang sa gilid. And you cannot blame these companies kasi baka hindi nila afford na mag-set up ng isang server room. Kasi ang server room talaga, kailangan ng enough space niyan. Tapos dapat naka-air condition yan. Eh may mga kumpanya na nagtitipid ng mga utilities fee. Like for example, yung kuryente, nagtitipid sila. Eh naka-air condition naman daw yung kumpanya. Bakit lalagyan mo pa ng isang kwarto yung server computer tapos lalagyan mo pa ng aircon? Eh naka-air condition na yung company. Naka-centralized air condition na. Diba? So may mga ganun eh. And we cannot blame these companies, no, kung ganun ang kanilang security ng kanilang data. Data is generally considered to be at rest pagka ito po ay nasa isang storage device at hindi siya gumagalaw over a network through a protocol and so forth. And somehow this is illogical in nature. Data at rest on media can also be in motion. For example, pwede tayong magpadala ng mga backup tapes na merong lamang sensitive data. Carry in our pocket a flash drive containing a copy of our tax forms, or leave in the back seat of our car a laptop containing the contents of a customer service. Yan po, ang tawag dyan ay data in motion. So ganito lang po yan, ha. Pagka yung isang data, kahit nasaan man siya, nasa laptop nyo, nasa USB ninyo, pag tin-transfer mo po yan, or dinala mo po yan somewhere kung saan ka pupunta, ang tawag doon ay data in motion, because yung data na nando doon sa flash drive or nasa laptop ninyo, sinama ninyo sa pagkilos diba? Pumunta kayo sa isang lugar. So ang tawag doon ay data in motion. Hindi siya part ng data at rest. Kaya kanina, ang binigay example dito is the server. Kasi ang server, hindi mo naman pwedeng bitbitin yan kung saan-saan. Diba? Ikaw yung network admin, diba? Tapos ang intention mo is to secure the server. Ano yun? Saan-saan mo ililipat? Hindi ganun yun, ha? Kaya po tinawag na data at rest yun, kasi server yun. And even yung mga desktop computers, araw-araw ba yung desktop computers iniiba-iba ng lugar? Para ka namang di ba? Kakaiba yung kumpanya nyo, nagkakaroon ng rego doon, no? Every day sa kanilang mga devices, sa kanilang mga computers. Hindi po ganon. Pero yung laptop, yes, USB, micro SD na naglalaman ng mga data at dinadala mo yan, nasa bag mo. So sila yung mga data in motion. Okay? Are we still good? Okay po tayo? Okay. O, isa lang ang okay? How about the others? Hindi na okay? Okay, next. Data security. Ito, marami na kayong idea about this. Great many solutions exist for protecting data at rest. The primary method we use to protect this type of data is encryption. Ayun, kaya pala nilagay ito dito. Hindi po pwedeng ang data ay open. Kailangan talaga lagi siyang may security. And the security is considered to be as an encryption. Diba? Lalo na kung alam natin na yung storage media or the media and the device na kung saan sila nandoon ay pwedeng ma-expose sa physical theft. Ang ganda ng word niya, pero sa Tagalog yan po'y nanakawin lang pala, no? Kailangan talagang i-secure yung mga data. Ito, may sabi pa nga rito, nasa backup tape or in a laptop. Tape pa talaga no? Nung araw kasi ganyan yung mga floppy disk, no? Mga tape, ngayon mga USB flash drives na, micro SD. An enormous number of commercial products are available that will provide encryption for portable devices. Kadalasan focus on hard drives and portable storage devices, including products from large companies. So we're talking about company data here. The features of such commercial products kadalasan include the ability to encrypt entire hard disk. Yeah, pwede mo namang yung storage media ng computer mo, ng device mo, i-lock mo yan. Nasa iyo naman yan, di ba? Ang tawag daw po doon ay full disk encryption. Pero ingat-ingat ka dyan. Di ba? Hindi yan ini-encourage. Kaya possibly ngayon mo lang nakakita or narinig yung word na yan. Kasi hindi naman siya ini-encourage, no? And by the way, ang isang computer po, marami na pong factors of authentication. Masyado ka namang paranoid na pati yung hard disk mo nilagyan mo ng encryption. Well, kung ganyan ang choice mo, wala namang makakadlang dyan. Okay? Next. Eto, familiar na rin tayo dito, di ba? Physical security, mga CCTV. Another important step daw yan in protecting data at rest. And this will make the lives of the attackers be difficult. Kasi dadaanan nila yan bago nila ma-access yung mga data mo, di ba? In many cases, large businesses have databases. Of course, sabihin yan, database sites. Yung kanilang data po, hindi lang po nandiyan sa kanilang office na yan. Meron pa po silang mga sites na kung saan nandoon din po yung iba nilang mga data. They also have the file servers, workstation that contain customer information, sales forecast, business strategy, documents, network diagrams. Ayun, pati network diagrams meron din. And large amounts of other data they do not wish to become public or fall into the hands of their competitors. Kaya ito naman ang in charge dito would be the database administrator. Ang database administrator kasi possible na network admin din yan. Sila yung in charge in safeguarding the data. Okay? Ayun, data in motion. Another major concern to protecting our data comes when it is in motion, over a network of some variety. This might be over a closed WAN or LAN, over a wireless network, over the internet, or in any other ways. Kasi nga po, yung network na yan, pagka yan po ay activated na or online na siya, so prone na po yan sa atake. And there's no way and there's no identifying kung yung ating network ba ay inaatake o hindi. Because I have mentioned before in our previous discussion, the attackers will not tell you when are they going to attack. Diba? Wala pong attacker na nagbo-broadcast ng kanyang plano na, oy, mamayang alas 4 ng madaling araw, aatakihin ko yung server ninyo. Wala namang attacker na gano'n ang ginagawa. And the primary method of securing data from exposure to network media, yan, encryption. So now, little by little, you understand the value and the essence of encryption. Diba? Kaya nga, kung mapapansin niyo yung early topics natin ng module na ito, nakapokus talaga sa mga iba't ibang devices ng cryptography. But ngayon na medyo patapos na yung ating discussion, napapansin niyo, it's all about data protection. Yes, wala namang ibang ginagawa yan, kundi ganun lang din. Ito naman ay para ipaalam sa inyo na ang data po talaga ay mahalaga. Lalo na kung magtatrabaho na kayo. I'm referring to the company data. Ilang beses ko na pong sinabi sa inyo yan, na ang company data napaka-importante because it helps the company grows. Kasi yung company data na yan, yan yung kanilang parang bread and butter. Na pagka hindi po operational yung data na yan, possible losses of sales ang mangyayari. And pagka nagkaroon ng loss in sales ang kumpanya, alam na ninyo mangyayari dyan. No? Domino effect po yan. Protecting the data itself. So we have two types of protocol. We have the SSL and the TLS. Kadalasan na ginagamit to protect information na sinesend over networks and the internet. So basically, ganito nangyayari dyan. Pag nag-send po kayo ng data over the internet, data and information over the internet, ito pong dalawang protocol na ito, this will serve as the bodyguards. Wow! So meron palang entourage na nangyayari, no? Pagka sinesend mo yung data over the network, meron pong dalawang protocols na nag-guide sa no? Sila yung nag-guard doon sa data na sinesend mo na yan. And they operate in conjunction with other protocols. Marami pa kasing mga protocols, like for example, yung IMAP or the Internet Message Access Protocol and Post Office Protocol or the POP para naman sa mga email. And yung sikat na Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, para sa web traffic. So every time na kayo po ay nagsisearch over the net, HTTP naman po ang nagmo-monitor sa inyo, no? Yung VoIP or yung Voice over Internet Phone, no? Para sa voice conversation yan, na ginagamit po sa instant messaging. Yes, no? Haven't you wondered kung paano nangyayari na nagkakaroon kayo ng conversation through a messenger? Paano nagwo-work out yung application na yan? That's because of the VoIP or the VoIP. Diba? Voice conversation, instant messaging. SSL is the predecessor of TLS, and TLS is based heavily on the last version of SSL. So, kahit sabihin natin na medyo outdated version si TLS, si SSL, hindi pa rin pwedeng paghiwalayin yung dalawa. Kasi naka-dependent pa rin si TLS kay SSL. And nakalagay kaya nyo, when SSL/TLS is used, hindi pa pwedeng paghiwalayin yung dalawa. No? It encrypts a connection between two systems communicating over a network. So for example, may dalawang computer nagko-communicate over a network, but is generally specific to a particular application of protocol. So although we might be using SSL, TLS to encrypt our communications with the server that holds our email, this does not necessarily mean that the connections made through our web browser enjoys the same level of increased security. So there's no assurance that we get the enough or sufficient security na masasabi natin na na secure yung ating communication. So meron pa rin talagang ways yung mga attackers para ma-disrupt, no, or ma-interrupt yung communication. Take note that of course, as mentioned dati, may mga attackers na yan, genius po yung mga yan. Mga computer genius yung mga yan. They can find a way, no, to penetrate the network. And many common applications are capable of supporting SSL, TLS, but they generally need to be configured to do so independently. And again, wala namang kayong magiging problema rito kasi pang network admin po ang ganitong klaseng approach. Okay? But it's not a bad thing na magkaroon tayo ng additional knowledge, no? Yan. So, how do we protect the connection? Another approach na po ito na pwede nating mapili is to encrypt all our network traffic gamit ang VPN. Diba? Napakaganda po ng VPN kasi ang VPN, hina-hide niya ang IP address ng device mo from the network. So, if in case merong attacker nakapasok ng network, hindi niya makikita, invisible ang IP mo sa kanya. Kasi naka-VPN ka eh. It's like you are there but you are not there physically. So para kang multo. Para kang ghost. Diba? And din yung picture oh. No hackers, no firewalls, no government. Even the government agencies, yung mga cyber crime, well, having said this, nagkaroon na kayo ng idea ngayon na yung VPN, ginagamit din ng hacker yan. Yes. Totoo yun. Nag-i-spy sila dyan. Diba? Although, kung meron mga user na gumagamit ng VPN, hindi naman din makikita ng hacker yon. Pero ang purpose kasi niyan, pagka yung hacker, plano niyang bisitahin lang yung network na ayaw niyang mag-cause ng somehow alarm doon sa security ng network, gagamit siya ng VPN. Titingnan lang niya. Possible, naghahanap lang niya ng way kung saan siya gagawa ng backdoor. Diba? Although ang VPN, it can help you protect your IP address, but ginagamit din kasi siya ng mga hacker para mag-lobby sa network, no? O next, ayan, ginagamit yung VPN po possibly sa mga insecure network. Like for example, gagamit kayo ng mga public hotspot. Ingat kayo dyan, class. I know hindi pa kayo nagkakaroon ng experience na ma-hack yung inyong mga device, pero wag na ninyong antayin. Pagsisisihan nyo yan. Pagka po kayo ay gagamit ng isang public hotspot, it would be a very good suggestion to use a VPN. Diba? Yung incognito po, sometimes hindi rin siya effective. Kasi nare-register pa rin yung IP address mo eh. VPN talaga ang the best na way para ma-secure yung IP address mo over the network. Diba? And then, protecting data in use. So, paano naman daw mapoprotektahan yung data na ginagamit? Last category, protecting data involves securing it while it is being used. Tama naman yun. Dapat ganun talaga. Habang ginagamit ang data, dapat meron talagang protection yan. Although we can use encryption to protect data while it is stored or moving across a network, pero paano pagka halimbawang yung data is ginagamit ng mga users na kailangan gamitin yung data? So, kailangan meron ding protection. Authorized users can print files, move them to other machines or storage device, email them, share them on peer-to-peer file sharing networks, and generally make a mockery of our carefully laid security measures. Kasi open ang data pagka ginagamit po yan. So, the big question is, ano ang gagawin mo as being the guardian of the data to secure the data while it is being used? Meron pong isang incident na nangyari before, no? Yung helicopter po, itong Marine One helicopter po ito yan. Helicopter used to transport the President of the United States. Yung conversation sa loob ng helicopter, habang yung helicopter lumilipad siya, somehow nag-leak. Na-share po sa isang government contractor yung conversation na nandoon sa loob ng mismong helicopter. And then yung copy ng data was also found to have been shared from a machine with an Iranian IP address. Ang lupit, ano? Na-hack yung yung network ng computer. Kasi ang communication line ng helicopter na yan is attached doon sa isang central computer. Totoo yan, kasi minomonitor nila yan. President ng US yan eh. POTUS. POTUS stands for President of the US, United States. So, yung conversation na nandoon sa loob ng helicopter is also being heard sa isang command center. And then somehow, yung command center, no, na-shared yung data outside of that facility. Kaya nakuha, na-hack ng isang Iranian. So basically, yun ang nangyari. And that's the end of our week 10 discussion.